This video is brought to you by Dr. Kristen R. Bromley's Guitar Method Book Series and Online Music Academy.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kristen Bromley. Welcome to my online academy. I'm thrilled to be here helping you with playing the guitar. In this video, we're going to work on reading the notes B, C, and D that happen on the second string in first position on the guitar. So B, C, and D. This video does accompany Lesson 2 from my Note Reading Books 1 and 2 Method book. If you have that book, you're going to want to turn to pages 13 and 14. We're going to be jamming together on the songs and exercises from those pages. Okay, so we have the B note that happens it sits right there on that center line. I always tell myself, boys that like to be the center of attention. B for boys that like to be the center of attention. That is one way to remember, but you've got that B note that happens on the center line. That is played on the open second string on the guitar. Of course, you can also see these diagrams right there on page 13 in the book. So that's where the B is. Then the C note that sits on the space just above that happens at the first fret of that second string. So you can see that there in the diagram. And then the D note that happens on the line just above. So it's the second one from the top if we were coming down, or it's the next one up from that center line if you're looking at it that way. That D note happens at the third fret on the second string, and you can see that there on the diagram, either on the board or on the page. So once you've found these, you just kind of want to get used to thinking B to C, B to C, go back and forth between B and C, go back and forth between C and D, just back and forth, getting comfortable with where you're placing your fingers to play those, and then going back and forth between B and D. So you can just practice between each of those notes, saying it in your head and kind of getting comfortable with them. Now, as a reminder, we're using our index finger to play notes that happen in the first fret, our middle finger to play notes that happen in the second fret, our ring finger to play notes that happen in the third fret, and our pinky to play notes that happen in the fourth fret. So, since C happens in the first fret, I want to make sure and use my index finger, and since D happens in the third fret, I want to make sure and use my ring finger, and that is indicated with the diagrams both on the board and in the book as well. Making sure to establish this habit of using index finger in that first fret, ring finger in that third fret for these ones, and then the open strings are of course just played open, will help as the melodies get more difficult. If we've established that habit, it'll be much easier to find the notes quickly and play them with accuracy. We also want to try and place our fingers just slightly behind the metal fret bar as we're positioning them on the tips of our fingers. So we set the tip of our finger to play a note just behind that fret bar. Might have a millimeter or slightly more in between the actual metal bar and our finger. We don't want to set our finger on top of the fret because we won't get a clear tone. And if we set it too far back into the fret, it's harder to push down, harder to get a good tone. So we want to set our index finger on the tip of the finger right there in the first fret, just behind the metal bar, and then our ring finger on the tip of the finger just behind that metal bar as well. And of course, we're using a pick or a thumb to pluck the strings in a downward direction. Or you could also do this method book doing classical plucking if you want to work on your note reading that way as well. But I'm not getting into that here because that's a whole nother technique. So there's a whole video series that will be available for that when it is completed and when it's ready. But right now we're just working with plucking with the thumb and the pick as far as this method book goes. So you just pluck in a downward direction. So once you've gotten comfortable with this, playing these notes, kind of gone back and forth, plucking those, getting a good tone, just kind of going back and forth and keeping in mind naming what those pitches are, D to B to D to B, or D to C to D to C, or B to C. So just practice that a little bit, then we're ready to jam together on these songs and exercises. Right now in the lesson series, we're just working with whole notes, half notes, and quarter notes. So our quarter note is worth 1 count, our half note is worth 2, and our whole note is worth 4. So as we play these songs and these exercises together, we want to make sure and play each of the melody notes with the right rhythmic value as well. So I review that there. Now we're going to be jamming together, you, me, and the band with these jam along tracks that have been created for this lesson series. So we're going to get a measure in the drums, gives us a measure sort of count off, but it's just a drum fill, and then we'll be in and we'll play each of these notes. Something that can be helpful when you're jamming along with these tracks on each of the exercises is you can say the names of the notes while you're playing them. Or if it's you're kind of tripping up, you can just say the names of the notes and then try playing them. If you're working on these rhythms and they're tripping you up a little bit, you can clap the rhythm or just mute the string and pluck the string in a muted fashion. Just pluck it playing those rhythms, and that can help. Or you can count the rhythms. We've talked about that in the last video, so I'm not going to do it again here. But if you want to, you can count the rhythms or count the beats in the measure. Either way, and that can help you keep track of where to bring those in at. We won't, until we get to number 5, the rhythms are pretty predictable, but I mentioned that here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and jam together. Each one of these exercises and songs will happen at 2 tempos. First at 80 beats per minute, then 100 beats per minute. So you get to practice each one at a little bit slower and then a little bit faster tempo as we're working on reading these notes together. It's going to be great. Let's go ahead and jam together. Okay, awesome. I hope you're having fun with this. Now, as we continue, so in the next video, we're actually going to combine the notes we've worked on in this lesson, B, C, and D, with the notes that we've worked on previously in the videos that accompany lesson 1 from the method book, E, F, and G. So we're going to be playing exercises that combine B, C, and D with E, F, and G. All 6 of those notes. It's going to be great. Take care. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching this video. If you found it helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And be sure to check out more great content. You can find more information about me and my products at KristenBromley.com. Take care.